Hi, this is Robbie Fox,
And I'm Hannah.
and today we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting.
It's pretty interesting.
I think. What is it?
I feel like it could almost be controversial, like in a sense.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I wonder if it's more controversial now than
Or if it was then. I
back
don't know.
then.
Anyway, we're going to talk about marrying young because we got
Right.
married really young.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. Like I said, I don't know. You had brought up a pretty interesting statistic that I wouldn't have known, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll share that in
Yeah.
a little bit. But, marrying young when we got married was kind of not very, I don't want to say popular, but I guess it didn't happen a lot.
Well, I feel
Right.
like marrying young was definitely like a little more old school.
Mm-hmm.
You think way back.
True, yeah.
I mean, there were arranged marriages, but then after that, like, it was even like, teenage years,
Mhm.
very young, like
Oh, yeah.
early on 20s was when like you would get married so you could start a family
I remember
and start doing that
grandparents
kind of
would, bring that up, like, oh, we got married at 17, 18,
Yeah,
like
and
super young,
We're
right?
like,
But then, like, around 2013, when we
that's
got
when
married,
we got married.
I
So-
didn't know a lot of people that got married young.
So I looked it up, and of course, this is a very just kind of like blanket type study. I didn't go into like great depth of research. I'm not like the researcher, but in 2013, it says that the average age of marriage for women was 27, and for men it was 29.
Which is crazy.
Because
would
I
think,
was 19,
yeah.
and you had just turned 20.
Yeah. I mean, we were pretty close. We're only 3 months apart.
Yeah,
With
so I mean,
our
I was
age,
19, and a few months later, I was going to turn 20, but still.
Well, after we did get married, like, years would pass, and then I would see people, getting married for the first time that I knew, or it may be close friends, or maybe it was like teachers I had. I mean, I had some teachers I knew, like, oh, they got married when they were,
In their
mid
30s, yeah.
or my brother would be, mid 30s,
Yeah.
like, so
There's
that's
nothing-
kind of common, yeah.
We don't think, oh my gosh, why
No,
are
no,
they
no.
doing that?
No,
It's
that-
just how different.
But that was the thing about it,
Yeah.
was that when we got married young, we never thought that way about, oh, shoot, get married whenever, like, that doesn't matter. But there were some people that would put in their 2 cents to say, like, oh, y'all are
young.
kind of young.
Like,
Are you ready for that commitment?
There's always that pushback of like,
And it's not in a loving way, might I say.
Right.
Some people are very much like
very
condescending. in a
condescending,
way.
judgmental, and like we've always tried to just kind of stay in our own lane about things.
I'm just gonna say though, we made it 10 years, baby. So some
Yeah.
of them might have thought might not have made 10 days, but
I
that's
mean,
just, I'm not gonna say anything.
This is true. This
So-
is true. But I've always cared what like other people think of me.
Yeah. Me not
gotten-
so much.
Yeah, gotten a lot better about that, but it's just one of those things where I've like had to grow and I've had to realize like what God says matters, and we were trying to live our lives for Him.
Of course.
And so that just really helped like overcome that worry. But what were you like? You
Well-
said something. Oh, I know what you said. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, continue.
What I was gonna say was that, one thing that did worry me though about marrying young was, as the man, right? I was concerned about, hey, I'm going to be, taking someone's daughter, taking someone to be in my life that now I have to, I'm going to be responsible for it in a sense, right? Like obviously God's word tells us that the man is he's the
head,
leader
yeah.
or the head of the household.
Yeah.
And I'm a 20-year-old, I can still say kid because, at that point I was not,
And
just-
to provide, that's
provide, that was a big part
that's
of
a
it.
big feat to take
So that
on.
worried me,
Yeah.
like internally, like, because I'm like, we're going to get into this, but I wasn't clearly, making a whole bunch of money. I didn't have like all these plans for my future at that time. Like,
Right.
I was very much, my personality was just, hey, I'm just living life as it comes.
Yeah.
And you were, I think, quite the opposite, right? Like you weren't.
I'm like a planner.
Yeah.
I've always been a
I'd
planner.
say,
When
yeah.
we got married, or before we got married, when we got engaged,
Right.
Robbie was a little blown away by my savings and
Yeah.
my like hope chest. It wasn't really a
I
hope
didn't even
chest.
know
Like
what
I
that
didn't
was.
I didn't even have like a hope chest. I had a whole attic.
Yeah.
My parents
for
had
real.
2 walk-in attics in their house, and one of them, like a whole section of it, was dedicated to tubs of like kitchen items, like all the things, like literally.
Deck like decor and
Yeah,
stuff.
literally, when we finally did move into our house, like we were basically able to furnish most everything just from me saving up, and it was like yard sales.
I had a TV.
Thrifting. Yeah, he had a TV.
I had a. It's actually you can't see it. It's in our room right now. It was
We still have it. It's still going.
32-inch Sony television.
He
Got it
used
when I
that
was
little bit of graduation money wisely. The rest was blown at Zaxby's. For being honest.
It was actually like I legit like when I was 18 probably spent like $300-400 like in like a
At least.
5-6 month time time span.
At least. I mean,
Yeah, it could be
probably
worse.
like less.
I
So
don't know.
anyway, he was literally like, "You have how much money saved, and you have all of this stuff." Like, I wasn't pressuring him.
No,
Like, you had
but-
already like proposed. Like you wanted, you
Yeah.
wanted this life, or you
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
you did. Maybe
I
you started-
was ready to marry her even if she had nothing to her name because that's
But I'm a planner, so yes, when it came to like those things, like Robbie was very laid back. He was very just like go with the flow. Like we're gonna figure it out as we go. And I'm over here like, I mean, I guess I think I kind of already have it figured out. But I always tried to be respectful. I
Right.
didn't try to like control
No, of course
our
not.
life. But there's definitely been a lot of push and pull, and me kind of having to step back and allow you to like take over that leadership of our household,
Yeah.
especially once we had kids.
Oh right.
But young married, we were just like we were
Yeah.
a team. We had fun, and we were very like minded.
Yeah, we were.
Once we got on the same page with things.
Yeah, so leading up to like our marriage, we were engaged for I guess so April 1st was when I proposed, and then it was
July.
yeah,
So it was
July
like
of
not
that
quite
next
a
year.
year and a half.
No, so that time frame leading up, going back to like me feeling nervous, sure we're hearing rumblings from people or just
Right.
especially maybe older generation
Yeah.
people that would come and go in our life. Maybe they were at our church or maybe they were at workplaces. We would hear like, oh, are y'all ready for that? Like, are you sure? Oh, y'all are marrying young
That's
and
fast.
stuff.
A lot of people assumed that I could be pregnant. Was not.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, that
That
could have
was
been
not
in
us.
people's thoughts too.
A lot of people when it's like, oh, y'all got married that young. Like,
Yep.
are you expecting?
But now, like looking
No.
back, people can see like, oh, you got married in 2013 and you had Ezra at
2015.
2015. So it's like,
it was,
no,
it was
that
not a
wasn't-
thing.
that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like leading up to it, like my biggest concern, like I said, was making sure I could provide for you.
Yeah.
So really, and even before we got engaged, all the way leading up to our marriage, I feel like a lot of you just mentioned our like-mindedness,
Yeah.
where we're very much on the same,
We had similar goals.
similar goals.
Yeah.
And on the financial side of it, that was a big part of it,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because everything I did, like the money I made, which wasn't much, maybe I was refereeing, soccer games and stuff, going to tournaments and getting some money there, or I would work at a gymnastics gym where I was an instructor. So like whatever it wasn't making a bunch of money,
Right.
but I was making enough money where I'm like, hey, I don't have many bills right now, like for myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save as much as I can,
And we did.
and we saved a lot. And I would eat. I tell people this all the time. My main meal throughout the week would be like frozen corn dogs. I'd heat up 2 in the microwave, and I'd have a pack of ramen noodles. And I had that really consistently because, like, at that point in my life, I'm like, I'll just eat whatever. I was still playing soccer and whatever, so I would eat whatever I wanted.
Yep.
But yeah, we'd saved a lot of money, and I would say that really made me feel better about marrying young because it's not all about finances, of course.
But you have to have that stability.
I don't.
Financial stability starting out.
Yeah, I didn't want to take like you away from your family and then think, oh, I'm concerned about.
We never wanted
that.
to come like crawling back
Oh,
either.
yeah.
We didn't want to get out on our own
Yeah.
and then be like, we failed.
Right.
And I really don't, like, I never felt that way
And
because
life-
we knew God was in
Yes.
control.
Life brings struggles too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
like we have been blessed like our entire life basically. Like yes, things have happened. So like I understand like some people they can get married and then like all of a sudden they can be in debt for whatever reason or hardships can come by. Maybe
Yeah.
there's been an accident in a vehicle. Like
Yeah.
so we understand that could happen. But we were blessed to where nothing really heavy hit us.
Right.
We were always trying to be smart with our money, and yeah, we were able to be pretty smart with it. And then when we did get married, some people blessed us as well with with some.
Yeah, so
What's
we
the-
like
yeah.
literally went to Six Flags on
We
our
did.
honeymoon.
Yep.
And we drove like my old Jeep. That was what we did. We did a road
Yeah.
trip. We drove. We went
A lot
to-
different than our 10-year anniversary.
I know,
Were
right?
we?
Yeah. We were able to rent a car for that.
Yep.
But But that was it. Like, I feel like we started out with very practical things, like our wedding itself. Just to like share a little bit, because like I do feel like our kind of intentional and practical lifestyle is something that may come back around to like a different little talk. But our wedding was literally like at our church.
So the venue was
well
free in a sense.
And yeah, I believe so, because I was the custodian. Like, I cleaned the church. And so because of that, I believe it was free. And of course, we had family and friends who went to that church who helped clean up afterwards, so we didn't have to pay like a cleaning fee. So there was that. And then, like I said, I had been saving things up and setting things aside, and I like to thrift. I like to shop sales. So I made all of the flowers. Like, me and my mom, and I think my sister helped me, worked on the flowers for our wedding. They were artificial, which I love now.
Yeah, because we still...
Like, a lot of people dry theirs out, which is beautiful, but I'm not like a flower person, and I have bad allergies. So now Kenna gets to hold my little bouquet, like when we do the... Anyway. So, yeah, we get to, like, look back on that. We did all the flowers. We were just...
We put the decorations up ourselves.
We literally used all of the greenery from the church, because at the time they had all of these, like, greenery plants, all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I have a vision. So we, like, put them all together and just used white Christmas lights.
It was beautiful.
And, like, white tulle under... Like, it was just very practical, but it still turned out so beautiful. It's not, like, super high-end, but that's how we were. Aww.
So sweet. Thinking back.
Just like our wedding itself, my mom bought my dress, and then I think she helped with about half of the food, because we cooked all the food for our own reception. So our whole wedding was covered. We didn't go into debt for any.
Do you think my groom's cake was good? Because I never even like touched it.
Okay, well, we didn't have a groom's cake.
Whatever it was brownies. I know.
It was
brownies, but I never like my mindset after we got married. I was so like overwhelmed in a good way.
That so many
there
people
were so many people
up
there that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
I kid you not. When like I walked out, because like I was like kind of in the back for a while, and I walk out, see all the people sitting there, and I'm like, that already made me feel like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I kid you not, you know when it's Hannah's turn to come out, and all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 or whatever that, and I'm like, all of a sudden I feel like a jolt in my heart, because then and it was like perfect. Everyone stood up, the doors opened, and then it's the first time I saw her looking beautiful in her wedding dress, and her dad was right there with her. I got so just
it was emotional.
Oh, emotional, man.
But it was like we had a bride and groom table that was set up for us to go sit and eat at.
Oh yeah, because I'm all like, come on, Hannah, here's this person. Let's go talk to this person. Let's go.
And I was like,
I felt like a star. I don't know why. All of a sudden, I just felt like...
he did, but it was like, instead of us going and sitting at the table where people would come to us and congratulate us.
You know what I mean?
Robbie's like, no, we're going to go to them.
I think I'm I know I'm a leader, but like I'm a... What would you call it?
I don't know, but like you're assertive.
Assertive. Yeah, I think that was the word. Like I want... Look at you. Like, I want to be the one. So I'm like...
He's like, no, y'all don't have to come to us. We'll come to you.
Yeah.
So we literally did not eat.
Well.
But we did have leftovers when we got back from our honeymoon.
Hold on.
My mom froze a lot of the food, so we had food for like
This isn't really a financial type episode, because I would love to break down like our budgeting and how we live our lifestyle. But no lie, what was our meal at our hotel right after our wedding? And we go to our hotel that's like local before we travel. What was our meal?
This is how we do things. Okay?
They don't do this anymore, by the way.
So we love Zaxby's.
Robbie loves
Zaxby's. I learned to love Zaxby's.
That was our first date.
Okay, so they did this thing where you would buy a meal at a certain point in the summer, and then you could come back later, like the week of July where we were getting married. You could go back in with your receipt.
I think the receipt was green or something. Like
they gave you like a little slip or something or whatever, and you came back in and you gave it to them, and you get that same order,
exact meal
for free.
Like literally, so if you spend $100 on a meal,
we purposely were like, okay, well on our wedding day, like we're going back to a local hotel before we wake up the next morning to go like drive. We were like, we'll just go get free Zaxby's because like we like Zaxby's. Like we're just so practical.
Some people call it extra, but I think it's fun.
Well, some people think it's extra. Some people think like, oh my gosh, y'all are like that low maintenance, or just like. But I'm like, well, no, if we cared and wanted to go get something, we could have. But that's what we chose. Or
that's gonna be fun when we get to really talk about our lifestyle and like I would love to like talk about that. But I do want to kind of dive into, obviously the wedding was amazing.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, we had made this kind of commitment of, hey, let's try to do something that will lead to the wedding, make it really special. And so I think, was it my idea? I don't remember whose idea it was.
I really can't remember, but I feel like it was you because I was kind of like, wait, what?
But I wanted to say, hey, let's not kiss, about 30 days, until the wedding.
We had kissed.
Yeah, we had kissed, and we do want to talk about our first kiss really soon. But so leading up to it, we did not kiss for like 30 days. And so then the moment that we got to kiss after like we said our vows and I was shaking.
It was like, anybody got a mint?
I was so nervous and I know I was sweating.
Yeah.
But I think it was
that
sweet.
was something special. So but we went on our honeymoon. It was practical because we just wanted to go ride roller coasters. So we got like a season pass. So the whole week we went because we were at a hotel that had a free shuttle that went straight to the front of the park. So the days that we wanted to go there, it was like easy, didn't have to pay for parking. I do remember our honeymoon. I was so upset because we had done our research and it was just a very simple hotel.
What'd I do?
No, it wasn't like that. It was a very simple hotel, nothing like super fancy, but we got there and there was no fridge.
That's right.
And we had I'm always a person who brings tons of like at least water and drinks for like on a trip, so you're not spending all that money. That just makes sense to me.
What are the odds? No fridge.
There was no fridge, so we just had to keep our cooler iced, which we did. We just kept it iced, and then they had said they had a microwave. We thought it was in the room. No, they had one microwave, and it was like a community microwave on like 2 floors up. And I think we used it one time on something, but then they only had like a restaurant breakfast, and it was not anything that we were like wanted to eat. So
needless to say, the hotel wasn't the best.
So that just like. Again, my frugality was like... I
like that word. Is that a real word?
It is a real word.
You looked it up before.
No, I didn't.
You were like, I'm going to use this word.
No. It's frugality or frugalness.
Frugalicious.
Okay.
See, that's making up a word. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was about to say.
But anyway.
Frugaliciousness?
So, like, we ended up grabbing, like, McDonald's because it was right around the corner for breakfast. Different stuff like that. So, I do recall that. But then we literally found a mall, a local mall.
Yep.
That's what was funny. Do you remember?
Nope.
So, we went to the mall, and they had a movie theater, and one of the like Wolverine movies.
The second one.
And I was so excited. Wolverine. Yeah, because I love Wolverine, favorite like superhero. Right. And like we went to see it because like again, it was just like this is an easy, fun thing to do. Well, we were at the mall and it was kind of getting later in the evening, and we're in St. Louis.
Yep.
So there was like a curfew. It was like especially in the mall. So there was legit a curfew if you were 18 or under. Well, I'm 19, almost 20, but I mean, I looked young. And literally, I had a security guard approach me. It was like, I had gone to the bathroom, so we were apart, but not far from each other. I had like gone to the restroom, and I was like coming up, and he like approached me and was like, ma'am, can I see your ID? And I was like, what? I was freaking out because I'm like, I didn't steal anything. Like, what happened? And then he was like, okay, you're good. And come to find out, because I was like, what? What happened? Yeah. What is it? He was like, no, we have a curfew. If you're 18 or under, you have to be out of the mall by whatever time it was. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I'm on my honeymoon. Like, I was like, oh, my gosh.
Hey, this is one of the benefits of me forgetting things.
Like, it was.
This is like a new story for me. I'm like, with what?
But I remember because I was like, not embarrassed. Yeah. Like, now I look back, I'm like, I should take it as a compliment. True. But anyway, I do remember that.
Well, you just turned 21 recently, right?
Stop. So, yeah, now if you look at things, like, we've had our struggles. We lived with my parents at the beginning.
About, what, 8, 9 months? It wasn't a full year, I don't think.
It was. Okay. It was over a year.
Okay.
We had the whole upstairs in my parents' previous house that they rented out to us. So we had like 2 or 3 rooms, a big space. We had like a little sitting area that was like a living room. And we had like a little kitchen. We had a mini fridge, a mini microwave.
Didn't use it that much. Sometimes we'd go downstairs and...
But anyway, so we did that, and we took turns helping with dinner downstairs, helping with dishes downstairs.
Yeah, just chores and
stuff.
But
we did pay rent. Yeah. We paid $300 a month. That wasn't that much.
It wasn't much, but...
But it was something. Like, we were having...
Her parents wouldn't have taken more, I don't think.
But, like,
it
was holding us accountable, and so we were able to save.
Yeah.
We had very lower income jobs, but we were just like, we knew what our goal was. We wanted to find a house before we started a family,
And once I found out and kind of like we looked into it and we knew, well, if you put a decent down payment, I don't know how it is now with the market, but I knew if you put a decent little down payment, like your overall, mortgage per month would be less, right? And so like we just saved a lot of money.
Which is like, that is obviously going to be the same, but now interest rates are higher.
Yeah.
Now the overall market, houses are so expensive that like, even if you put a big down payment, you still have like a huge payment, like monthly. So
no, we were able to put like at least 20 something, like 21,000 something.
Yeah, so like we were able to just save, and put that down.
Yeah.
And our house fell like in place. We were out of town. We had been looking at houses, and all of them were just
none of them felt right.
Most of them that were in our price range were foreclosures, and they were not good. Like a lot of them didn't even have the electricity turned on when we went to look with the realtor, just because of where our price range was at. We were out of town with a couple that we were hanging out with at the time, and I had felt sick the whole weekend and was miserable. And we were headed back home, and my mom was like, "Hey, I saw this on Facebook. It's a house in Horn Lake for sale by owner."
Yep.
And it was like lower than what our price range had been. And she's like, maybe you want to see about looking at it. And I looked at the pictures, and it was just so simple and cute and ready to move in.
And it had like, it was almost like a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Because it was like you walked in and it was empty.
Very simple.
Honestly was good
Yeah.
for us because we had so much stuff that we knew like, oh, maybe our couch should go there, and we would hang this up here, and our table.
It was easier to visualize for sure. So literally, we got back on like a Sunday. No, it was late Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I had reached out on Facebook to the person, and they're like, "Yeah, you want to come see it Monday night?" Well, that was Monday night, but the Sunday night previous, we had got back in town. Okay. You had an indoor soccer game. You left for said indoor soccer game.
Oh yeah, I know. I remember this.
And I took a pregnancy test.
Yeah, and she was in the bathroom, I guess, getting ready to take that test, and I didn't know.
He was like, "Bye, babe, love you.
I'm like,
are you sure you don't want to come?"
Yeah, or I think I was like, are you good? Like, blah blah blah.
And I was like, "I'm good.
And so I'm like, okay.
So he went to his indoor soccer game,
which we won.
Yeah,
I remember.
He was all excited. So then, like, took the pregnancy test, and it was positive. Because I'd been sick all weekend, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was sick on the little trip we took.
But I was like, I wasn't really sure, and I'd kind of like been nauseated, but I was like, I just don't know.
Yeah,
and I looked at my little, because I had been tracking things, because we were trying to get pregnant, and it had been months. It had been months.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to have kids at a young age.
And we knew it was in God's hands. Like, we weren't, we totally respect people who have infertility issues.
I mean, her mom. That's a whole other story.
And that was the reason for concern. It's because my mom had issues getting pregnant and went like 15 years married before she was able to have me.
Right.
And so there was in the back of my mind that worry, but we knew God was in control. So we were like feeling so blessed and overwhelmed. And so I went to CVS right down the corner, and I was like, I need a better test. This was one of the cheap ones. Yeah. I need a better test. So when he came back, I surprised him. So here we are. We're expecting our first baby. And oh my gosh, we're going to look at this house tomorrow. What if it's not a good house? Then what? Or what if it's the perfect house? And we walked through, and the owners were so kind. They were nice. Super like informative, very encouraging. And so like, being married young is scary, but then like starting our family young was such a blessing. Mm-hmm. We always said we didn't want to be the parents if we could help it. Like, because my parents did wait a really long time before they could have us. Mm-hmm. And so there have been a time or two in my life where people would be like, oh, your grandparents. I'm like, oh, those are actually my parents because of the age difference.
And mine are kind of, mine are similar.
And Robbie has older parents as well. And so there's nothing wrong with that. We love our parents. We love our relationships with them. But Robbie was like, but for sports and things like that, he's like, if we are able to start our family young, I would love to be able to be young parents, to be able to be active and involved.
I just turned 30, and I'm still hurting sometimes when I play soccer. When I play soccer with my boys, I'm like, geez.
So did it really matter? But no. We turned it over to God, and we just followed His lead.
100%.
And I just turned 22. When I had Ezra. I turned 22, and 2 days later, he was born. Yeah. And then Wyatt was born 2 years later, and then not quite 2 years later, Kenna was born. Yep. And so here we are, about to be 30.
You gonna surprise me?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But, we just tried to follow God's lead in everything. So we've been in 100%. Our house for over 8 years now.
Yeah.
Yep, it was 8 years
We were
in
married for
March.
a bit. And there's been a lot of changes. That's going to be something. I mean, even right now, looking at our, our floor. It was carpet throughout the whole house, and now it's just this beautiful. What would we call this? It's not quite hardwood, but
Oh, definitely not. It's vinyl.
yeah, like
It's
vinyl. But it's very. Oh, it's so beautiful. So, and that was during
So
COVID.
we've slowly updated things
Yep.
and made the house our own.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've just really been blessed with things, and like we're trying not to get too much in the finances,
Mhm.
but being
But that's
very
like our
young,
life too. Like we,
Yeah, we're very very open about that kind of stuff. And I have had a few people, literally just a few, mention like, "Are you going to share about budgeting?" And I'm like, "I can, but I just know that we do things differently than other people."
Mhm.
But yeah, being married young is the financial stability part of it. It's probably the main thing. Is there anything else you can think of?
Hold on, come here for a second.
Oh my gosh,
Come
what?
here. That's a good transition, though. No, we're good. Yeah, I got excited. I bumped
Moved
into
the
it.
whole table.
And you know what? I was going in for that kiss.
Forget the
and-
video.
Forget it.
All of it.
No, hey,
Okay.
hopefully the camera's working this
I
time.
hope so.
So if you watch the last one,
I almost want to check.
that's on me.
Should I say?
No, because at this point, no,
Okay.
that's a transition because I do want to talk about our first kiss.
Okay.
That was probably our what?
I have
30th? Just kidding. Okay, no, anyway. No, let's talk about it, though, because, man, it's a fun story. I love
we
to share
did
it.
kind of talk about it in the last one,
Yeah,
last episode, so it's like we need to share.
Yeah, sure. But it wasn't, and, we won't go too far into it, but
We were
give me
still
your-
just friends hanging out.
yeah, give me your perspective.
We weren't quite official yet.
No, definitely not.
So I was hanging out with my friend Sarah. We were BFFs in high school,
Mhm.
and so this was the end of my high school, and she lived around the corner. So we always spent I think it was a Friday night. It was either a Friday or Saturday. We spent most weekends together. So I'm pretty sure we were at my house watching America's Next Top Model.
Who knows?
Either that or Supernatural, but I think it was America's Next Top Model. And Robbie was like, "Oh yeah, me and my friend are about to go get food. You want to come?" And I was like, "Sarah, should we go?" And she was like, "I don't know,
And
should we?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's
Who
go."
picked this restaurant?
Pause. So we were gonna go to Zaxby's.
Of
And
course.
we got there to meet them, and they were like, "Oh, they close in 10 minutes, so we're gonna go somewhere else."
Okay, that's what it
And you
was.
picked
Okay.
IHOP.
I did?
Well,
why?
I don't know if it was
Yeah,
you.
because I'm I
It-
never.
It was not me or Sarah
That's so
because we were
crazy.
both "Yeah, we'll still go."
I know. I remember it was IHOP, but I'm why would I pick?
It may have been Alex. I don't know.
Maybe.
So IHOP, probably because we knew they were open late. We go to IHOP. We're sitting. Robbie was literally in a too small for him Sonic T-shirt. He was in some
Like Sonic the Hedgehog, by the way.
some
Tight.
vomit green basketball shorts that looked like they were gonna fall off because they
Baggy,
they had a drawstring.
baggy as anything.
But I guess he didn't think he needed to use the drawstring.
Didn't.
And then
didn't
he
use it.
literally had house shoes on. Wasn't it house shoes or was it flip flops?
Who got the girl in the
I think
end?
it was house shoes.
Who got the girl?
But I was kind of judging. I was like, ooh. And I was like, all right, cool. I mean, he's got a cool friend. But anyway, so me and Sarah are sitting here. He and Alex are sitting there. We're eating, chilling, hanging out, kind of laughing. Cool, fun.
Alex ended up being the best man at my wedding. This is my closest friend at the time.
Yeah, and Sarah, my sister ended up being my maid
Yeah,
of honor,
right,
but then
right.
Sarah was my best.
Okay.
And so
So we leave, or
we're
about to leave.
we stand outside the restaurant when we're done. Okay, this was fun, great, have fun, bye, see ya. Boom, go our separate ways,
That was it.
and we're about to leave
Awkward.
and about to drive off, or about literally driving off of the parking lot. And he texted me, and he was like, "Oh, I really wanted to hug you." And I was like, "Well, you should have." And he's like, "What?"
I was nervous, by the
And
way.
so I went back
Super
home
nervous.
with Sarah. I think I
Yep.
took her home.
Okay, yeah. 'Cause she
And
wasn't
then-
there.
Yeah, so I think I took her home or whatever. She went home, and he's like,
I went to a friend's house.
yeah, which was in the neighborhood.
Pretty close, yeah.
Right around the corner, basically.
So it was me and a group of friends kind of hanging out.
And my sister had our cousin hanging out with her.
Mhm.
So they're younger than me by 3 years, but they're all like, "Oh my God."
Shout out to Kaylee, by the way.
Yeah.
I know she's going to watch this.
So anyway, my sister and cousin were upstairs, and my parents were already in bed. So it was past my curfew.
Oh, they were.
So I came downstairs and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get my buddy to bring you back over. Can you come outside just for a minute?"
Now pause. So what happened with that was I was at my friend's house and literally I didn't have a way to go over there.
Yeah.
Because something we got dropped off.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't have a way over there. And then what happened was my friend's older brother you know, he was like maybe, I think, a senior. He was in college already.
Mhm.
But I kind of just said real quick what happened. He was like, oh, man, I'll drive you over there real quick.
Yeah.
So he literally went out of his way to drive me over there and, like, waited for me. Like, it's not like he just dropped me off left. He was like, oh, yeah, like, go, you know, go hug. I think he might have been like, go hug your girl or whatever it was, right? So then I get
So he
there.
came over, and it seriously took forever. And, like, finally hugged me because I guess he was, like, driving around the block. He was like, I'll be back around to get you.
Something like that,
And
yeah.
he drove around the block like a time or two.
Once again, I'm nervous. Give me a break.
Which is fine, and I was nervous, not because of the hug, really,
Oh.
but because, like, my parents, I was
Oh.
like, oh my gosh, they liked Robbie. They had met him, and they knew who he was. But I felt so weird. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sneaking out to hug somebody.
Yeah.
So, like, anyway,
Same.
waiting for, like, the hug. It finally was, like, a cute, sweet hug. And then I was like, okay, bye, good night, bye, see you later.
Oh,
Thanks for coming.
so cute.
And then he went his separate way. And then, like, I get back inside, and my sister and Kaylee are like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, we hugged. Like, freaking out. Like, woohoo, we hugged. Ugh. But anyway,
Yeah.
so then I'm, like, back upstairs in my room, like, hanging out, doing my own thing, whatever. And he was like, man, like, I thought, like, what did you say? I
Okay,
thought,
this was brave, and I basically,
I thought you were going to kiss me.
I was bluffing because I'm like, oh, I thought you were gonna like go for a kiss there. You know, I thought we were about
like,
to kiss.
joking.
Yeah, and then literally, what did you say?
No, what did I say?
You were like, literally, she said the same thing that she did when I said, oh, I thought I was gonna go in for a hug. However, you said it,
Yeah.
where you were like, oh, I thought you were going to. You know,
I
I thought
was like,
I thought we
kind of
were.
thought that too.
And so I'm like, huh? And I had already got dropped back off at my friend's house,
So
and the older brother,
I'm still there.
I'm like, hey, she said she kissed me, like whatever. I was like, and he's like, for real? Like, and he
Like,
literally,
shut up, no.
and he went out of his way again and drove me back over there.
So
Like,
then here I am sneaking out to kiss a boy.
ooh,
That's like really risky. Like, no. So anyway, I
yeah.
did. Like,
So-
I came back outside, and he was like, it took literally longer than the hug.
Yeah.
Like, beating around the bush. Like, literally, he was about to get picked back up, and he's like, it's like now or never.
I'm like, if I don't do, and I can't ask. You don't ask a girl like when you're right
Can I
there
kiss
with
you now?
her.
Like, we already
Like,
talked
okay,
about it.
I was trying to be smooth.
So
basically,
ended
as we
up-
walked back down the driveway, because
we
it's
had
like
a long driveway.
yeah, long drive. We're walking back down. We kind of step to the side, kind of like where like there's a lot of trees and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just over there, and it's like I pick her up to hug her again to be like, okay, this is goodbye. And don't ask me why. I done watched too many romantic movies, I guess, up to this point. Picked her up, spun her around. We did full 360 where I picked her up and just spun her. She probably actually made that sound effect. Like, so I'm like, anyway. And then when I set her back down, we kind of look at each other for a second, and I just go for it, and we just,
It was amazing.
it was a nice little peck
like when
on
you
the
talk
lips.
about it, it's so funny and like comical almost. People are like, you did
I
that?
know.
But I'm like, it really
It was
was
sweet.
so sweet and romantic.
And I was nervous, and that was our first kiss. And I honestly, it's like, if I don't go for that, who knows where our relationship goes? Because hey, then she thinks, oh, maybe he's not into me, and then I doubt myself, and then we're just friends, and we can't move past it. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm really thankful for the friend. His name was Ali, so I appreciate you, man.
Thanks,
Like
Ali.
he was and then just real quick because I love sharing this part. He was the one that, who's to say that jump started our relationship. And then if you watch the first episode, we talked about how a friend of mine got married to another buddy of mine on my soccer team.
From meeting at our wedding.
It was the older brother's younger sister.
So it all like worked.
So
out.
it's a full circle. Like,
sort of.
who's to say this is all God? And I love it. I
absolutely.
love thinking about this. Who's to say
Only he could do that.
God worked that all out to where He brought me,
Yeah,
started our
Ali helped
relationship,
you.
and then all of a sudden
And then our marriage.
it led
helped.
to our friends getting married, having a
Yeah.
baby. Just it's beautiful. It's
It
beautiful.
is.
So that's why I love sharing that story.
Yeah.
Not because of the kiss itself or what led up to it, but just
How it worked out.
the overall.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. So.
So okay, wow, that was our first kiss story.
Yep, and so now we've been married this long, and as far as just wrapping it full circle about full circle, I don't know
That
if
was
that
like a
was
square, like.
I never was that good at geometry. So anyway, I was good at calculus, but that's another
okay.
story.
Anyway.
Yeah, so wrapping it back up, we we've been married this long,
Mhm.
and now it's funny as I've seen people that are like younger now. I'm like, oh, this person's getting married, and they might be.
Or
19,
people that
20.
we know who are talking about it, and we're over here like we're able to encourage it.
Yeah.
Now we obviously encourage people. It's like you have to find your person, and you have
Yeah.
to be like follow along with what God's plan
Yeah,
and will is for you.
100%.
If you're outside of that, then it could come crashing down.
Yeah.
Or also if they get into a marriage and it is struggling, it's like there are struggles.
Yeah.
But like coming alongside people and being like, look, we've been there, we've been young and married, we've been young married with struggles, and it's always worth fighting for.
My biggest thing was getting over my pride and my selfishness, and like coming from like, hey,
Yeah.
I've just been living for me. Now I'm living for another person as well, and I'm leading this person. And then when we had children, that was a struggle with me in the very beginning, because once again, like now I'm helping like raise
having to
someone
step
up.
into that role is hard. Like
Yeah.
kind of understanding like it's not.
And I
us
think that's the
anymore.
case no matter what age you are, right?
Well,
So
and just like, and I'll end with this. We can end with
Yeah.
this maybe. So when I went, this is like a little testimony too, which I really
oh yeah, I know
loved.
what you're gonna. Yeah.
But when I went to pick up the rental car
Mhm.
for our anniversary trip, I don't know if I said this exactly, but like on the last
Mhm.
episode, but we had just rented a simple car. We just did that because our vehicles are older. We didn't want to put so much miles on them and worry about it. So we rented like a basic, like little Nissan Versa simple car.
Simple.
Well, the Enterprise place, he was like, yeah, it's really hard because people are not bringing their cars back on time, but we're going to get you in a car for sure. And I'm like, okay, great. Sounds good. Just let me know. So I had gone in, had some trouble getting some information that I needed, but we figured it out. I got checked in, and he was like, okay, if you want to go ahead and head back home, when we get the car here, I will call you, and it will be here by such and such time. Cool. Well, I was home maybe 30 minutes,
Yeah,
and he
not
was like, hey, Miss Fox, so we actually have like a Dodge Challenger like that came in, and we can put you in it and no extra charge. Like you still get it for the same basic price for that other car, but we just have it. We want to offer it to you. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. We knew the gas would probably cost a little bit
That
more
thing
for
was
that.
nice too.
And it really was. It was such a God thing because it was like, well, how nice. We're going on our anniversary trip. And that's what I told the guy. I was able to say something like, yeah, it's like really special. I was like, this is a really nice car. And I was like, we're going on our anniversary trip tomorrow. So it'll just be really nice to have like this. Like, it's just really cool that this happened. And he was like, oh, yeah. And he came back in and we were like doing some of the details, like the finalization of things, all the forms that you have to like sign and everything. And he was like, look, Miss Fox, I know you got to go because I know you got to be at church, because I had mentioned that. It was on a Wednesday. And he was like, I know you got to be at church, but I just have a question. He was like, how long have y'all been married? And I was like, 10 years. He was like, wow. He was like, that's like, wow. That is just so good. And obviously you could tell that I was younger, and he had already looked at my like license, like my birthday
Was he?
and
Do
stuff.
you think he was older or younger than you?
He looked to
Or
be
close?
20s. It could have been mid to late 20s.
So it was close. Yeah.
But yeah, like he wasn't much older than us, but not super younger either.
Yeah.
But anyway, and he was just like, that is just so awesome. And he was like, I gotta ask. He's like, what would you say is like the reason that like, or what helped you like be in a marriage like that? He was like, because now in this day and time with things that's on television, social media, basically the world telling you to live your life for you and to stay single and to party it up.
Talk about an opportunity.
He literally said that, and I was like, well, I was like, so, do you believe in God?
That was the first thing she
not
said.
Everybody, and I was like, do you believe
That's
in God?
bravery right there. I'm just gonna say.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, kind of like, okay. And he was like, oh yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Like, yeah, and I go to church. And I was like, okay. Next question. Like, does she believe in God? And he's like, yeah, we go to church together. Like, we're both Christians. And I was like, well, that's a really great foundation. And I was like, and basically, I just told him, I was like, first of all, you have to put God first individually in each of your own lives. You have to be chasing after God on your own.
Yeah.
And then when you do get married, keep God first. And you cannot put your spouse before God.
Check it out. Visual representation. We're both going to God. All of a sudden, bam, we got closer together.
Yeah.
See?
So it does. It grows you closer to God. But then in the process, you're growing closer together. And he even said that as we're kind of talking. He's like, yeah, so like, yeah, you are growing closer together. But like
it's
with God. And I was like, yeah. And I said, he had already said they had been together for a very long time, and he'd been considering asking her to marry him. So I knew they'd been together a while.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then if y'all do get married, and then you decide to start a family, and if you have kids, I was like, sweetie, you have 3 kids. I had already said that to him, so he knew that. I was like, you can't put the kids before your spouse, and especially before God. And he literally, I'm not kidding. He was like, whoa, yeah, like really? And I was like, yeah, because that's what happens. Is I was like, people tend to put their kids before their spouse and before their relationship with God sometimes, and they think like, oh well, we'll go on dates and we'll hang out and connect once the kids are grown and older. But then they realize that they've slowly kind of drifted apart and not kept a good connection.
When you don't have those kids as your anchor for the relationship,
what will be. So he just was like, no, yeah, that's like so good.
I mean, it's literally God, then your spouse,
and then your kids. And that's what I told him.
And that doesn't mean your kids are like way down here. We love our kids and we spend so much time with them, like, because for us, you know, we've heard before, like, oh, like y'all go on that many date nights, like maybe once a week or whatever. Like, oh, we never get to do that. And it's like, well, we do try to prioritize our relationship because it's going to make us better spouses. It's going to make us better parents.
And we respect other people who don't have the same opportunities or the dynamic that we do. Everybody is different. But I told him that, and he was like, oh, well, that's good. And I was like, and it's so good for your kids to see you loving your spouse, loving God, loving your spouse, because that's crucial to who they grow up to be. And to see that you're going to take care of and love their mom first, and then they are right there, right underneath God and, you know, their mom or dad. And he was like, that's so good. And I was like, and then men want to be respected and women want love. And I was like, and it's really just learning to use that dynamic and remembering respect in the marriage just as much as love. Because I recently read the book Love and Respect. So I recommended that to him, and he was like, well, thank you so much. And then he got a phone call. But that was a great testimony.
That's amazing that God allowed you to be.
Because we have had our moments that God was not the main focus. You tried to put me before your relationship with God sometimes.
I had Hannah on a pedestal.
And it was so hard. It was exhausting. Because I told you, I was like, but I can't be up there. I can't live up to that expectation. And so that was one big thing, being married young, that we learned quickly, is that couldn't happen.
I couldn't help it. You're so perfect and pretty.
That's not true. But, I mean, I appreciated it, but I knew in my heart, but if his focus isn't on God and he's not putting God before me, we are going to crumble.
And then I put expectations on myself to be like, oh, I have to be the best dad ever, the best husband ever. Well, guess what? I'm going to make mistakes like everyone else.
But just getting married young and having kids young, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean life's going to be harder.
That's just our story and kind of what happened with us.
And we can talk about other details later on of like overcoming certain things and how we did that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some details we could share. But other than that, I think this was awesome. I love thinking back on our marriage and our wedding. And I'm literally probably going to go look at our wedding album after this.
Right? Because, it's so fun to think back, and it's helping us remember memories. So
so that's going to be it. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And
I hope so.
I guess until the next one, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, thanks guys.
Okay.
See
Bye.
you.